The Lord is slow to anger, but great in power. The Lord will not cease the guilty unpunished. Leave the guilty unpunished. Nahum 1 and 3. God's justice and grace. English romantic painter John Martin, 1789 through 1854, is known for his uh, apocalyptic landscapes, depriving the destruction of civilization. In these fantastic scenes, humans are overwhelmed by the magnitude of the destruction and powerless against the approaching doom. One painting, The Fall of Nineveh, depicts people fleeing the coming destruction of mountain waves under dark rolling clouds. More than 2,000 years before Martin's painting, the prophet Nahum prophesied against Nineveh, foretelling its judgments. The prophet, let me make this a little bit. Okay, so the prophet used images of mountains quaking, hills melting, and the earth trembling, Nahum 1 and 5, to symbolize God's wrath on those who oppress others for their own gain. However, God's response to sin is not without grace, while Nahum reminds his listeners of God's power. He noted that he is slow to anger, verse 3, and cares for those who trust in him, verse 7. Descriptions of judgment are hard to read, but a world where evil isn't comforted would be a terrible one. Thankfully, the prophet doesn't end on that note. He reminds us that God desires a good and just world. Look there on the mountains, on the feet of one who brings good news, who proclaims peace. Verse 15. That good news is Jesus, who suffered the consequences of sin, so we can have peace with God. Romans chapter 5, verse 1 and 6. How do you want God to defend the oppressed? How might your understanding of his wrath against injustice prompt you to speak up for the oppressed? Father, I pray for those around the world who suffer unjustly. Ecclesiastes 4, 6-2, Corinthians 12.